Welcome to the council meeting for September 12, 2022, in the city of West Haven, City Council. We have a public lands hearing at 6:55. Please stand for the pledge, please. Tracy, do roll call, please.
Councilman Gary Donovan,
Councilman Gary Donovan, Councilman at Large, present.
Councilwoman Colleen O'Connor,
Councilwoman Colleen O'Connor, Council at Large here.
Councilman Ronald Quagliani,
Ron Quagliani, Council at Large here.
Councilwoman Bridget Hosky is temporarily absent, Councilwoman Melly Garthwaite,
Councilwoman Melly Garthwaite, Second District, present.
Councilwoman Sarah Akbarali is absent, Councilman Mitchell Galagnano,
Councilman Mitchell Galagnano, 4th District, here.
Councilwoman Robin Watt Hamilton,
Councilwoman Robin Watt Hamilton, 5th District, here.
Councilwoman Kathy Tucker is also temporarily absent, Councilman Victor Boris is absent, Councilman Robert Bruno,
Councilman Robert Bruno, 9th District, present.
Councilman Stephen Johnstone is absent, and Chairman Peter Mazzaro.
Chairman Peter Massaro, 6th District Councilman, is present.
Okay, we have a quorum,
Good.
Mr. Chairman.
We'll have a quorum. Okay, now I'm going to turn the meeting over to the Lands Committee. Councilman Gary Donovan.
Thank you, Chairman. Time is now 6:57. Anyone from, this is the Public Lands Committee public hearing about, from Communication G from August 22nd, 2022 agenda from Lee Tarrant and Corporate Counsel regarding the sale, lease, or transfer of 25 Herman Street. Before I ask if anybody wants to come up, I know we have a letter that would like to be read. Oh, members present, sorry, is Councilwoman O'Connor, Councilman Quagliani, Councilwoman Hamilton, Councilman Bruno, and myself acting as chair. At this point, I'd like to have that letter read.
Okay, so we have a letter to the City Council from Brian Banning, 57 Malden Street in West Haven, to whom it may concern, I, Brian Banning, am proposing to purchase the above referenced property since I am the owner of two abutting properties located at 189 and 193 Forest Road, and want to make sure that the apparent environmental contamination located at 25 Herman Street is addressed in a professional manner so as to not impact any other properties located near same in addition to mine. I obtained supporting documentation and records of this contamination from the Allentown Fire Marshal's office and have wanted to make sure that the same gets taken care of for the benefit of the city and all local property owners since then. Obviously, as a professional contractor and the owner of abutting parcels, I am in a unique position to make sure that the contamination at issue is eradicated in an expedited and thoroughly proper manner by experienced pollution abatement specialists, since I have some expertise and a vested interest in making sure it is done correctly. I will also redevelop it after such environmental cleanup in an excellent manner, and then this parcel will come back on the tax rolls as an environmentally sound and much more valuable piece of real estate. I thank you for your time and consideration relative to this request and invite you to contact me directly with any questions or concerns regarding this correspondence. From Brian Banning.
Thank you, Stacy.
You're welcome.
Is there anyone from the public like to speak on this matter? Yes.
Paige Weinstein, 20 Platt. When we saw the agenda today, my husband and I, and saw that this property was on there, we also have an interest in purchasing this property. I just spoke with Attorney Tiernan and understand that there's environmental and would want to get more further information. Our store has been in that area for 38 years. Our employees are having continual hard times finding affordable housing. And so what we'd like to do is we'd like to explore the opportunity of purchasing this, determining what the lot can accommodate, and then from there being able to provide housing that is affordable for our employees with their families.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else from the public like to speak on this?
Put an offer in. My name is,
And-
I'm sorry, Gerald Paprocki.
Gerald,
Yes, Paprocki.
can you spell that for me, please?
Gerald,
Mhm.
and my last name is Paprocki.
And your address, please?
54 Dominican Road, Branford, Connecticut 06405.
Thank you.
I built the 3 houses, one across the street on one, I built 151 Lee Street, 154 Lee, and 93 Lee. I'd like to put a single-family raised ranch up there, not a tandem raised ranch like I did across the street, 'cause a lot of people don't like the tandems. I like to put like a nice raised ranch facing the road. I did bring some pictures of the house I would like to build up over there. I am finishing 6 new ones in West Haven now, just sheetrocking them all. So I do build a good amount of houses in West Haven every year. I usually build like 6. I can give you all a print of the house I would like to put over there. That's actually a nice size piece of property. So the lots across the street that I built on were 40-foot wide lots. The one right next to the apartment building on 154 Lee, that lot was only 40-foot wide. I put a 24-foot tandem house. The one on 151 Lee, right across the street, I think that house is only 26 wide, a tandem house, and 93 was another 26 wide tandem house. I like this lot because it's big, and I could put a nice house up, a nice raised ranch, maybe 50 wide by 26 deep, 3 bedroom, 2 baths, 2-car garage underneath, so that would have 4 off-street parking spots. I do have this house being built in West Haven right now, a 47 Tatlow, 406 Jones Hill Road. I like this house a lot better than the other tandem ones I'm building right now in West Haven. I could give you guys a printout of the house I would like to put over there. Yeah, I'm putting this house up now on tab 19.
Plans, Gotta bring it to plans.
So, and I'll just need one for the file.
You want for the file.
Just make sure I get one for the file.
Okay, unless there are any questions or anything you'd like to ask?
It's public session, so we appreciate your input.
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else from the public like to speak on this matter? For a second time, anyone else would like to speak on this? Yeah.
Good evening, Paul Frozell on 19 Bloom Street. You know, it just amazes me. I bought my uncle's house on the corner of Lee and Hugo. I had a side yard of 55 by 120 feet. And I was denied a building permit from this town. The reason why I got denied because my great uncle's chicken coop was 5 feet into the other lot. So I understand how I got denied to build a house. And we refurbished it was one of Mr. Panza's first house he ever built. Same time they were building Yale Bowl. I think it was 1920, 25. But it just amazes me how I had well enough property to build a house. And down the street, people are building at 40-foot lots. It don't make sense. I just, God bless him if he wants to build, but I don't understand why I got treated differently. And that was when Mr. Panza was chairman of the Planning and Zoning. So it doesn't make sense. It's not fair across the board. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Foswell. Anyone else from the public like to speak on this matter?
Can I say something? I mean, I just walked in, so I don't know what.
This is about Herman, this is about the sale, the possible sale or lease or transfer on Herman Street, ma'am.
I don't have anything to say on that.
Okay. Second time, anyone from the public like to speak on it? Third and final time, anybody like to speak on it? Seeing none, the public hearing session is closed
At 7:04.
at 7:04.
Thank you, Councilman Donovan. Okay, now we'll open up public session. Anybody want to get up and address the council? Mrs. Weinstein?
7:05.
It's, rules are written on the agenda, 3 minutes.
Very quick. I just want to make an acknowledgement. I have nothing to complain about tonight. I'd like to make an acknowledgement about our Councilwoman Melly, and I know Mr. Mullins. They have been doing an amazing job cleaning up this town and going in. I know they're at Marginal Drive, and I just think that they really need to be acknowledged for their volunteerism. And I'm sure multiple people are doing lots of things, but I just really want to acknowledge the cleanup that they're doing every single weekend. There is a new project that they're tackling, and I think that what they're doing is amazing, and we should all be appreciative of them.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Debbie Bell. I live at 36 Terrace Avenue in West Haven. And so the purpose of me being here this session, I have a problem with the parking on my street. It's not the first time that I've brought this attention to the city. I'm not seeing any results with these UNH students. I don't get any resolve from the police department. I call, nobody comes out. I don't think it's fair to be a taxpayer and I have to deal with this consistently. Now, there's got to be a way, you got to find a way to satisfy the residents, homeowners in this town. UNH cannot come in and bully. I've had it pass here. I have a handicap sticker in front of my house. It's consistently being used, parked. People are parking. They're disregarding. The trash is disregarding. And I've had enough. I'm here because somebody has to look at this situation. Maybe we can come to some resolve where we can get some zone parking, or if these people want to buy houses and turn them into student housing, then they need to provide parking for them. So I'm looking for some help, and I'm going to come to every single one of these meetings starting today, and I'm going to repeat the same thing over and over and over until I see some results. I pay my taxes just like everybody else, and I've had more than my share of aggravation, and I'm tired of it. So my second thing I want to speak on is I don't get any street cleaning on my street. I don't know why. Street sweepers do not know their way to 36 Terrace Avenue or to Terrace Avenue at all. And I'd like to know why that's such an issue. I've called the certain department that I need to time and time again, and I've documented every time I call. I don't see them. I don't know where they are. We pay taxes. Where are the street sweepers for my side of West Haven? That's all I have to say. I need to see some change. I need to see some change. Make me feel like I'm part of this city. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else like to get up and address the council? The second time, anybody else like to get up? Mr. Hickey?
Were you waiting for a special invitation?
Michael Hickey, 32 Bungalow Lane. Before I start, I'd like to apologize to this city council, and Councilman Quigliani at the time was the chairperson. About 3 meetings ago, I lost my Irish temper. It had nothing to do with anybody here. I had lost a very good friend, and I was looking to hurt somebody. With that, and it still hurts. With that, we'll move on, but I shouldn't be taking that out. My wife told me not to come because I wasn't mentally set. Anyways, I see the brewery went through. As soon as I heard special counsel, I knew that was stamp of approval. Be careful what you say in the newspaper. All right? Because if you're sitting and saying that we need a win in the city, all right, that's why we need the brewery, all right, to me, that's a losing comment. That you would go out of your way to bring something in so badly that you're willing to make a deal that the taxpayers won't see any benefit for about 10 years. Even if it goes through, I already know it's being appealed. We need more transparency. when I have an auditor that actually quits halfway through the audit. As a taxpayer who flipped that bill, I want to know why. And do we get our money back? Because if you sign contract to complete something and you don't complete it, then I expect to get reimbursed. No, nothing heard. Nothing heard about the other audit. All right? You got a 5-year plan that got shot down by Marb. But if Marb's listening, I'll tell him the same thing that I know as a taxpayer. This city is great for ignoring anybody and everybody that comes to this podium. Your attitude is if we ignore them long enough, they'll go away. If you haven't learned by now, this Irishman doesn't go anywhere. All right? I've been coming here for a strong 19 years. I'll be here until God takes me off this earth. I expect results. I expect answers. All right? Nothing's getting done in this town. We're losing businesses faster than we're creating them. I was floored to find out that CVS in Allentown closed. Allentown no longer has a grocery store or a drugstore. It's got a lot of small little shops down there. Most of them aren't filled. All right, it looks nice down there. They did a nice, beautiful job down there. But these are chain places. They're used to taking losses to hold out until a new business opens up, and they just walked away. Has anybody asked why? Denny's just closed all of a sudden, but that's not the first place on Sawmill Road that's closed.
I hate to interrupt you, Ms. Agee, but your 3 minutes are up.
Huh?
Your 3 minutes are up.
3 minutes are up? What do I live in a communist country? No.
No,
All right.
3 minutes.
All right.
That's right.
Change it to 3 minutes.
All right. We'll change that too. All right. I'll let it go this time.
Anyone else like to address the council? Margaret?
Margaret A. Krasinski, Wilbur Street in Allentown. The gentleman wants to build a house, and I'm not. Don't you dare tell me to stop. The houses he's talking about that are 40 feet, those were built in the 1940s. I know that lot, Herman Street, very well. Okay, don't you dare give him that lot. Brian Banning is right above it on Forest Road. I know very well because I have a relative that's living at 66 Lee Street. Okay? Now, your 3 minutes stinks. Go back to 5 minutes, please. And that device, if you have it there on that podium, I can see it right here. Don't you get rid of it. Okay? We have enough to go in Allentown. We lost the pharmacy. We lost the grocery store. You want to build a firehouse in Allentown? You're going to have to get the approval from the people in Allentown. They got to pay for it.
That's right.
Because we're stuck. I have to go to the other end of town to go to a pharmacy. It bothers me that I have to do that. I hate it. You know? What else are we going to lose? And you want our votes. You want our Democratic votes for your next election. You better think twice about this 3 minute thing, because you know what? That's not right. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Krasinski. Anyone else like to get up and address the council? For a second time, would anybody else like to get up and address the council? Yes, ma'am.
Sylvana Apicella, 281 Highland Avenue. The 3 minutes rule, did you take a vote on that? Because that was supposed to be done via vote according to Robert's rules.
Not according to our bylaws.
No vote.
It's supposed to be a vote.
It's supposed to be a vote.
No, not according to our bylaws.
It's wrong. People are upset. If things were getting resolved, you wouldn't have so many people coming here every other week, and talking for long periods of time. like, if there were responses, like, people should be getting responses, and I know that that doesn't happen, and it's not right. My main reason for coming tonight is follow-up for the bottle sort. And I saw that you have something on the agenda for unfinished business, but I reached out to, Councilman Hosky and, Councilman Councilwomen, I'm sorry, Garthwaite, and, neither of them have received responses back from Chief Perno. I don't know, the longer that you hold out, the more suspicious it seems to me. If there's nothing wrong with how they're utilizing their funds or how they're splitting up the funds, then why not share the amounts with the public? It goes to fund a municipal shelter. We should be aware of how much money is coming in. And maybe there's thought that there's a political agenda behind it, but there's really not. I mean, I physically went there and I did the bottle sort. I saw there's so many. I reached out to Commissioner Carano, and he inquired about it, as well. He said that he explained to me how the funds are utilized, and I'm fine with it. I just want to know what the dollar amounts are. Like, why can't we know that? And the longer that they hold out, the more suspicious it is. We're a city that is known for corruption. And having $2.1 million stolen from us, I mean, I think that it's very reasonable to just let us know what the dollar amount is. I have pictures because just in case you guys think that it's just a couple hundred bottles and cans, it's not. This is a picture of one of the bottle sorts that I attended. It's one side is the parking lot, the other side is the dog run and yard. And do you mind if I hand the pictures? So I know, Robin, I think I sent you, right? And I know, Bridget, I forwarded to you. I know, Melly, that you have been to them, so you know how many. It's a lot. It's not a little. So there's money there. I just want to know what it is. I'm not looking, what could I possibly get out of it? I'm not looking for anything. I just want to know. I want to know what the dollar amount is on it. I think the people have a right to know. And
Thank
that's it, okay? Thanks.
Anyone else like to get up and address the council? Yes, sir.
Hi, my name's Rich Hebert. I live at 166 Bloom Street, right here in West Haven. I'd like to echo what the previous speaker was saying. I also went over there and started those bottles. That's an awful lot of money. And we do need answers from you folks because you have a responsibility to answer us as citizens. A lot of people come here every week or every 2 weeks to say something at these meetings. I have yet to hear any answers come back. That's your responsibility. We have a town where the answers we get are always blurred and never direct. We are told that there are people that are not qualified to fill the boards that have open positions. Why is that? I happen to know personally that some of the folks that have applied don't even get a response. Whose responsibility is that? Can any of you folks answer? We've got
It's the
an
mayor's
economic,
responsibility, sir.
pardon me?
The mayor handles that end of it.
The mayor handles it?
We
It seems
only-
like the mayor handles everything.
She handles
When do
that
you
part.
folks step up and say, the mayor, you have to let things out of your hands? We need answers. You don't give us answers. The mayor doesn't give us answers. As a matter of fact, the mayor kind of distorts the truth. Let's put it that way. We were told that the Haven was coming. The last couple of meetings, don't worry about it, the Haven's coming. And then we hear that it's not. Does anybody here have the truth? Can you share the truth with us? That's why we're here. And the last time the mayor was here, she disparaged people who were speaking out about the brewery. Nobody was really opposing it. They were just asking questions about it. And the mayor intimated that we don't have any say in the matter. It's only 40 people. Well, those 40 people are concerned citizens. They take time out of their lives to come here and express something to you folks. And we expect some answers from you. And as far as your imposition of the 3-minute rule from a 5-minute rule, what's going on? You don't want us to talk.
True.
Not the case, sir.
Not the case, then go back to the 5-minute rule.
Well, it was more than 5 minutes before.
Well, then leave it, why put a stop on it?
It's my prerogative to do it.
It's your prerogative.
Yep, per our rules.
So what does a citizen have?
You speak your 3 minutes and that's it.
That's it, huh? You know, I think it's a very improper position that you're taking on that. We're entitled to free speech. You know, we're going to start arresting people if they go over their 3 minutes?
They'll try.
Yeah, it's not right. And that's an embarrassment. And you, sir, are an embarrassment.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else like to get up and address the council? Anybody else? You're already up there, Mr. President.
That was on a different subject. Nice try.
He knows the rules too.
Good evening, Paul Froslow, 19 Bloom Street. I'm going to speak quick, so I only have 3 minutes, folks. The last meeting, the mayor was here. Obviously, she's not here. She wasn't here for about 3 months. So she made a comment. She made a comment last month. She made a comment last month.
One more outburst, you're leaving. Yeah, you.
Okay, I'm going to go back to my speech. So the last meeting, the mayor got up and spoke, and she says, well, only 18 people came and spoke. 18 out of 55,000 people came to speak in regards to the brewery. And out of 55,000 people, that wasn't a good margin. But out of the dozen people that spoke in favor of the brewery, one individual lived in West Haven. So let's do the odds. When you're doing a poll, the majority is here and the minority is here. One person from West Haven spoke on Kelsey Avenue in favor of the brewery at that time. Okay? She drew us under the bus with her stupid comment stating only 18 people came and speak. Now the meeting's not live streamed. How come it's not live streamed? My phone's going off the wall because it's not live streamed. Why? Who stopped that? Who's stopping our freedom of speech? 3 minutes should have been done in January. When you have your organizational meeting, that's when you set up your rules of the council. That should have been done there. If you're going to change those rules from January, you need a vote of the council. And if I'm wrong, prove me wrong, and I'll say you're right. But I don't think I'm wrong. Okay? You can't just predict, oh, this meeting's 5 minutes, this meeting's 3 minutes. Come on, people. We take time away from our families just like you guys do. Okay? The last meeting, if you're going to do something, you should put limits to your time of your meeting. It's not healthy to be here till after 2 o'clock. What gets accomplished after 2? Who's tired? Who's hungry? It's not healthy. There should be something in your rules that 11:59 you could recess and re-adjourn within so many hours of that meeting to continue. It's not healthy for any of you, especially the ones that have to work the next morning. Come on. You can't be here until that time. I mean, that's after last call. You know? It's not healthy for you guys. And this 3 minutes is a joke. I was going to use another word, but I got to be polite. Thank you.
But who turned off the streaming?
Yeah, I want to know who turned the streaming off.
Thank you.
My phone is going.
Anyone else like to get up and address the council? Would anybody else like to get up and address the council?
Lisa Jarvie, 329 Platt Avenue. The reason that I have my outbursts is because at the last city council meeting, you told me to stop speaking. And I want to thank you for that because you exposed yourself as a traitor, all of you, to the Constitution. You know, we do have the right to freely and peacefully assemble, to redress our grievances, and to speak freely, and you tried to silence me. And Stacy, you prompt and you guide the rules of these proceedings, and you did not correct the chairman.
Ma'am, that's why I stopped.
And you know
because you're out of
something,
order.
and you know something else, do not interrupt
Ma'am,
my
you're-
3 minutes. And you know what's really interesting? You and District 3 have been tasked with the responsibility of investigating your fellow city council members for high crimes and misdemeanors. And yet, when the chairman violated and infringed on my First Amendment right, you said nothing, you sat silent. That's consent. So if you can't call out a crime while it's happening, I don't think you're going to be able to investigate. You said yourself you're being obfuscated. Maybe you should recuse yourself. So where do we go from here? You all have a choice. Continue the way you're going. We see you for what you are, traitors.
Anyone else like to get up and address the council? Anybody else like to get up and address the council? Third and final time. Anybody else like to address the council? Public session is closed.
At 7:26.
7:26. Clara council meeting. I'd approve the minutes for the meeting of August 22nd. All in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Yes. One abstention.
Which?
Bridget.
It has.
Minutes passed. I'd like to approve the Public Lands Committee meeting August 31st, 2022.
Motion.
Second.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any abstentions? Any discussions? Motion passes. Approval of the minutes of the special meeting of August 31st, 2022.
Motion.
Second.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
No abstentions? Motion passes. Clerk will read the communications.
We have before us Communication A from the tax collector regarding overpayment refunds for the month of August 2022, which will be filed with tonight's minutes. And we have Communication B from Neil Cavallaro, Superintendent of Schools, regarding the contract between the West Haven Board of Education and the West Haven Administrators Association being assigned to the Finance Committee, Council Chairman Hosky. And that concludes our communications for this evening, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Yeah, we got public
That's
lands.
an old communication that's already on the agenda, so it's not a new communication. It's okay.
Yeah, we want to do communication A now, or we want to bring it up?
No, we're going into committee meetings right now.
All right, committee meetings, we'll go to the Finance Committee.
Thank you,
Councilwoman.
Chairman. The time is now 7:26, and your committee on finance is in session. Those present are Councilwoman O'Connor, Councilwoman Hamilton, Councilman Quagliani, and myself acting as chair. I'm just gonna go to the communications first. Communication B, the contract between the West Haven Board of Ed and the West Haven administrators, we're going to hold. And communication J, I would want to deny. Oh, was that not right?
Hold it.
We're gonna hold B and deny J.
You could deny.
So, motion.
Motion, can I have a second?
Second.
Discussion? Councilman?
Yeah, I believe this is an old plan from maybe 2 or 3 iterations ago. I know that the mayor continues to work on the plan with the MARB, so I would think when that plan is ready for our review, then it could be resubmitted to the council. That's all.
Any other discussion? And I'll just go on the record as well, is that we will not be voting, I will not vote to bring this out favorably in the future until the mayor is present to discuss, as is the finance director. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. And I don't believe Mr. Jackson is here to talk about the year-to-date budget review. Is he here? Oh. Welcome, Mr. Jackson. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you very much for asking. Scott Jackson, Finance Director, 355 Main Street, West Haven, Connecticut. I'm going to give you a brief update as to where we are on the city's finances. I'm actually going to start with the closed fiscal year, FY22. There is a 60-day reconciliation period at the end of a fiscal year. So we've just concluded that, so we have a better sense as to where we're going to land. It still needs to be audited. But I have been stating with confidence that we will have a budget surplus in FY22 in excess of $1 million. And I remain confident that that is a low number for where we're going to end the year. As we close out the year, one of the items, and we mentioned this last week as well, or last month as well, the omnibus transfer, which I think was 24 pages long last year, is not the way that I believe the city should be doing business. So I'm completing that now, but it will be the last time. I've also simultaneously begun filtering current year transfers to the Office of the Mayor for review and action. So we are getting off of the habit of waiting until the last quarter for any transfer. FY23 revenues are right on track. Our liquidity is stable, so that we have no concerns about paying the bills. While this is the lean time, or it can be the lean time as it relates to tax collections, it's also the time where the state grants start to filter through for first quarter payments. So we do not see any concern about our liquidity moving forward through to the next tax collection season. On the expenditure side of the aisle, we have expended or encumbered about 18.9% of the expense budget, which is on track with where we need to be. There is one area in which I do have concerns, which is the utilization of overtime. At the end of this week, I hope I will be able to provide a memo of guidance to all department heads regarding where they currently stand on overtime, offering some suggestions as to how it may be mitigated, and relying on their expertise in order to mitigate it. Now, clearly, a lot of it has to do with vacancies. But we have to, I think that we need to do a little bit more of a comprehensive job in terms of finding out where those axes cross between having employees and utilizing overtime and reducing some of the incidental costs of having employees, at 40% for benefits, et cetera. So I think we need to look at that also.
Can you give me a head count of openings? Like, what is, so I had positions as down as one of the questions I wanted to ask you. How many positions do we have open? I know there was several in the FY23 budget that we've added that I've not seen a posting for, or anything on LinkedIn or wherever we might market that. So you're saying that this could be what is prompting the overtime, but the wage, so what, how many openings do we have?
I don't have a solid number, but that's part of the research that I'll do in the memo that I send out to the individual department heads. I'm also, we've all been going through for years, the type of emotional situation that leads to burnout. And so I'm also concerned about sort of the maximum number of hours worked so that we make sure that we don't burn our employees out. You get to an area of diminished productivity if you're working while you're exhausted and you don't really want to be there, but there's nothing else. There's nothing else for your department to do to get the necessary work done. So I think it's also important to treat our employees like, like friends, like human beings, and provide for them the type of work environment in which they can be productive, in which the city can advance, and to do so in a way that is fiscally responsible.
So I just want to talk about that really quick. So when you say max burnout or burnout, which is very important, are you just saying just the overall mental fatigue of, having to work 60 hours, like your job? I'm pretty confident your job is not a 40-hour-a-week job, as is mine. Sometimes it's 50 if I have to get the work done. So are you saying that, or are you saying that similar to the police department, Chief Perno needs, I don't know what the number is, but from any given time, he might need 42 police officers on the road, or in this, on shift, and I'm not sure the correct term, and he has to mandate 10 because he doesn't have that. And doesn't the contract stop us from being able to do that? Doesn't their contract say, you can't mandate? So when you're saying that, I'm wondering which one of those you're referring to. Are you just saying that the workload is making somebody have to constantly be at their desk finishing it, or are you saying that something else?
No, I'm definitely saying the first.
Okay.
I'm not sure what direction you may be going on.
Well,
on
like
the
public
other.
works. Like I know where I work, during a storm, you can work 24-hour shift, and then after that, you got to go home for 8 hours, and you can only come back for 16. You can't do another 24-hour shift.
Federal Fair Labor Standards
So
Act
right. So when
kicks in.
you're saying that, I was just being curious as to what you were referring to when, Thank you.
Yeah, I was more referring to sort of the
workload still this high.
Exactly.
And okay.
But it's
Thank
it's
you.
kind of the social sciences are saying that people right now, Americans who are used to working a lot during the time of the pandemic, started to come to different rationalizations about what a work-life balance looks like.
Yes, and we had talked about probably in last budget year, right, doing a work study to see this one job might truly only be 20 hours, but this other job that this person is doing is really the job of a full-time, part-time equivalent. To do that job successfully, it's 60 hours, where this one is, it's like 25. Nobody was interested, and then you say this, so. Okay, thank you.
I do have some other updates on related items in finance.
The audit?
But does anyone have the audit
Oh,
being one of
good,
them?
because if you heard the residents, they're very interested in knowing about the one that quit and the one that was replaced, and did we pay them at all? And I know we didn't pay the auditors because they didn't finish the job, but if we could just go on the record to say that the one that quit on us.
I have received a few communications from the firm, but since we have no work product, I did not see a reason to pay. So that's one auditor. We did, as you know, engage PKF O'Connor Davies to complete the annual audits for FY21 and FY22. They continue to work. We are contracted for a November 30th final submission date on that, and we are generally on pace to meet that. The auditor and I emailed the first thing Monday morning, and there are some outstanding document requests, but nothing of significance, and they're going to get to us an official open items list so that we can knock those off and give them a chance to go and finish up their testing, and then provide to us probably early November sort of a rough draft, and then we write what's known as an MD&A, a management discussion and analysis, where if we disagree with anything, we state so, and we just give sort of a better narrative picture of the city. So that you could call that audit 2. Audit 3 is also underway, which is the FY22 audit. While they're on site, we collectively didn't think it made any sense for them to take a break. So when they ask for documents, we're typically giving them documents from FY21 and FY22 so that they can roll forward and provide an FY22 audit on a timely basis. And then the fourth audit is, of course, Cohen-Resnick. We've been working, I'll put my spin on it. I think we've been working with them very well to resolve some issues. In fact, we had a work meeting in this room where they put their questions up on that monitor, and we went through them one by one by one by one. And we have taken their list that looked like that down to a list that looks like that. So we've made, I think, significant progress, and I'm looking forward to seeing what their final report is going to look like. They are tentatively scheduled to at least finish up their contractual work by September 30th. I'm not sure if that's the date that it will be submitted, released, but they should be finished with their testing by September 30th.
Perfect. Does anyone have it? Councilman?
Yeah, just before we get off the audit, thanks, Scott. So I guess my question is with the Cohen-Resnick audit. So now I think if I'm not mistaken, the purpose of the exercise is to go through the numerous items that they disqualified, if you will, as being acceptable uses of CARES Act funding, largely due to incomplete documentation, I believe. So now you're going through the exercise in hopes that some of those items will go from the bucket that they weren't acceptable to being acceptable.
That is
that
correct.
So in regards to the forensic audit that was released, will they be revising that or issuing an addendum?
They will.
to
There will be a final report that will take the place of the initial report that was
good.
released.
Okay. And when can we anticipate that?
I believe that, so this is on an OPM contract. I believe that contract stipulates September 30th for them to complete their work.
Okay.
But there may be some additional publishing.
Relatively
And since they're not our auditors, I'm not sure if we're going to have the opportunity to provide an MD&A, which usually takes a couple of weeks to prepare, because typically you hire the auditor and you put this in the engagement notice, and this one, since it's not our contract, I'm not sure what the expectations are.
Good, thank you.
You said the audit might be done around September 30th. Will, how soon then does that go to Moody's so that they can change our status from watching to an actual number letter thing?
Yeah, the Cohen-Resnick audit doesn't really intersect with Moody's because it's a forensic audit. It's not an annual audit, so it doesn't have all of the information in. We were able to provide unaudited financial statements to Moody's, which they accepted. It's not final. It's not in writing. But the lead analyst for Moody's returned from vacation, I think on Friday, had a chance to review our submissions and said they looked good from an initial review. But the decision as to what to do with the rating, it's not the lead analyst's final decision. They have a committee that reads through the credit and decides what to do with it. So I think that we got word that they're going to want to talk to us. And so that happens every year. It's called a surveillance audit, even if you're not going out to the market, even if you're not going to use them as a rating service. If they've rated your issuance in the past, they have the opportunity to come in and do what's known as a surveillance audit. And so we are anticipating sort of an enhanced version of a surveillance audit. I'm sorry, a surveillance review. It's not as intensive as when you go to get a rating, but I think this is a surveillance may only be 20, 25, 30 minutes sometimes. We expect that this is going to be a little bit more, but not to the level of an initial rating.
Thank you.
Anyone else have any questions for Mr. Jackson? Councilman Bruno?
Thank you, Mr. Jackson. When you said that we're in a 60-day cool-off period or grace period, whatever you want to call it, where are we at now within that 60 days and know if we're going to have $1 million surplus for year 22? Where are we at?
That period expired on September 1st, so
Okay.
we're doing final reconciliations on bills that may have come in, in August for services provided in June. So those are the reconciliations that we're doing, and that's what will bring us to the final number, unaudited, and then to be audited by.
So you're only
DPSR.
projecting that number. That's not a number, that's a hard number as of yet, that we have $1 million surplus.
It's not a hard number yet. However, in running the reports of revenues and expenses, we received $2.9 million more in revenue than was budgeted, and we overexpended our expenditure lines by $181,000. So if you just look at revenue over expenditure at a static point, it looks like we could have a surplus that is larger than what I have represented. However, it's a little bit risky to start to lay that out, because some bills can be very large. Workers' comp settlements, things like that can be large bills. And so you don't want to get out too far over your skis on projecting a surplus.
Nothing else, thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Anyone else before? Councilman?
So Scott, one other thing, and you don't have to go into a lengthy discussion, but just so I understand, so there's been some conversation about our bond rating, obviously, and future near-term bonding as opposed to bans, and there's a certain amount of bans that are coming off in September, and I believe that our financial advisor was on the phone with the MARB and you, and that you had talked about rolling over those until March, and then see what the market brings in March. I guess my question is if our rating isn't changing now, what was the thought process, and why wouldn't we convert those into bonds now as opposed to waiting till March when maybe our rating will change and not for the better?
Because our market access might be restricted due to the fact that we do not have a final audit for 21. That may be something that new investors may choose to pass on, so it could have a material impact on the rates that we receive. I mean, typically what you want to do is, when you go to market, you want to have your offering oversubscribed.
Mhm.
So if you're selling 6.5 million, you want 10 or 12 to come through the door, so that you can then pit the bidders against each other and drive the interest rate down. Not having an audit and being the first Tier 4 community in Connecticut, we thought that we might be throwing a little bit too much risk.
It's not very enticing, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it's just it just adds a little bit of risk. Now, Connecticut paper, frankly, always sells because the investors know that it's backstopped by the state of Connecticut, which has the largest surplus in state history. But it's just a risk management tool to make sure that we put ourselves in best possible shape.
That was debt on the books. How about, do we anticipate any other near-term debt that we would, go to market for, like our capital plan or anything?
Yes, and so we would anticipate using the proceeds of that bond sale in March to pay off the bands, as well as add new money, some for Washington School, some for our general CIP program, and items like that.
So we should see a bonding ordinance when? February?
Probably February.
And we'll know more between now and.
We will know a
audit
lot
completed. We'll have 2 audits completed, most likely, right? The
Yes.
resident audit, our regular audit.
And hopefully the 22 audit, so hopefully we'll have 21 and 22 in the books, and Cone Resnick will be a resolved issue.
And my last question, it's subjective, so, but work with me. So, the first auditors, right, they started their work, and I know we didn't pay them, that's wonderful, but they started their work, and some reason, unbeknownst to any of us, at least anybody in this room, as far as I know, they decided to say, thanks, but no thanks, we've done some work, we want to break off the engagement, right? We're not going steady anymore. Is there anything with this new audit firm that, if anybody went to you and said, geez, you know what, you've got we have some concerns about A, B, or C, or are they moving along like a typical audit firm? I guess, because it's you're always thinking like, okay, well, why did they all of a sudden bail, right? And so now the new audit firm's been here for a while now, so I would think that if they see red flags, they would have come to you and let you know that.
That is accurate. They are doing a lot deeper dive on the grant programs based upon what happened, and that is to be expected, and that is how they are working. But they are not. They have not indicated that they have encountered anything that gives them pause. The only issue they're working very hard to meet the timelines, but we gave them very narrow timelines to complete the 21 audits. So they've been running as fast as they can and working very hard.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Councilwoman Tucker.
Oh, I'm sorry, Councilwoman Tucker.
Along those lines, do they have any responsibility to give you preliminary audit results along the way to match the timeline?
Not necessarily results, but they do have to provide us something
Some
that we
type
can
of an
respond
update.
to. Yeah,
Right,
so that'll
you'll
probably be
know.
in early November, maybe
Okay.
around Halloween.
So you'll know if you're getting into the same situation that we got into with the last group that walked out.
Oh yeah, they're firmly committed to providing this. This is, frankly, this is a once in a lifetime opportunity for an audit firm to come into a situation like this and turn around a clean audit in a matter of months. It really speaks to their capacity and allows them to market themselves pretty effectively.
Thank you.
Thank you. All set?
All set.
Thank you so much, Mr. Jackson.
If I might take one moment to talk about something else of importance in the finance department, and this came up at the last meeting as well. Councilwoman Akbarali asked about the consultant that we had. And so I provided her a memo, but I don't see her here. So I want to let you know that we extended an offer to join our team as a permanent employee as Assistant Finance Director. And Mr. Taylor accepted such, and today was his first day converted to a full-time employee. So he's taking the position that Bob Ziskowski carried for a dozen years here.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you so much.
That's one less on the open position.
That's one less on the open position. No more OT in the finance department. Yay. Mr. Carney, how exciting it is to see you here this evening.
To see you tonight.
Thank you.
Before
I
midnight.
watched your meeting the other night. Lots of good stuff.
Yeah, we're moving ahead. I do have for you a very nice list of all the projects and where they are now, with a graph bar showing what has been spent and what has not been spent.
A graph bar of expenditures.
So this is really our best list to date, and the graph bar shows where we are in the project. And what's nice about this list is we did convert it to a website available to the public by going through the city website, and there's a link. And on that website, we have this form. We update it as soon as we spend money per project. And then below that, as you scroll down, is a description of all the projects. In the near future, when you hover your mouse over the project, the description will pop up, and the checkbook is also very close to going on the website. I was here on the 22nd to go through most of these projects. I could just quickly run through them if you'd like, or you guys can pick and choose. It's up to you.
Yes, if you want to give a quick rundown, I apologize, that would be, great.
Okay, so you have 700,000 in the bucket for paying the professionals. We've paid roughly 50,000 to date. That would include the attorney as well as UHY. I don't think I'll be coming back to you for additional funds in that bucket of money, but we'll see what happens. The Child Development Center roof is under design. The contract has been finalized. Antonazzi is working on a design that we hope to have ready by late November, and we can put that roof out to bid in December. It takes 3 or 4 months to get materials, and we could do the work Q2 of next year. Pocket parks. We've developed a checklist of every single thing you can do to a park, from landscaping to playscapes to general cleanup. And we have Ernie and his assistant going to all 18 parks, and he is taking pictures, and he is checking off what that park needs. We're then going to put a number next to it and then decide how to spread the money on those parks.
So can I talk about that really quick?
Sure.
So I pretty much loved everything that you said about parks in your meeting last week. I liked how you said, if some of your committee members said, we'll give it back to the council and let them kind of decide. And you said, well, of course, there's this, where there's 10 of us that are all, the first district doesn't have a park, but maybe the green is my park. That we'd want it in our district, we'd fight and then we'd harass the at-large to vote with us. So it's messy, right? And
Yeah.
how would you do that? So I agree with both of that. Like I personally agree with having you guys really decide. But I'm gonna say this because it's just who I am. I am concerned about that same thing, about that same idea of the people in your committee. If you have, and I don't know the makeup of your committee, and my intent is not to be anything but transparent, is that same ideology of, me fighting for the park in my first district and wanting all of these things. If you have 7 individuals and 5 of them live in the first, and they're like, the first should get it, that's transparent. You know what I mean? That they don't vote on a park that actually is 2 blocks from their house.
I think what happens when you put the parks through the same process and you see the greatest need, I don't think it's going to be a matter of, do I live in that district or not? I also think that there's going to be some movement of money, and I'm going to come back here with those surveys and discuss with the council where we are.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think it's a little premature now, but once we get the actual result of the investigation, we compare the checklists, I think we'll be okay.
For transparency's sake, if that is something that you discuss about the council and us representing the district, I ask that the people on the committee are as transparent when they are talking about parks that are in their district. I am saying so that there's no miscommunication, that what governs us in the thought of what we would fight for is that it comes out of the committee, that people just know that if so-and-so is in the first district, that they just say, you know, I'm in that district, just so that it's out there and we don't have a constituent coming up here and saying, you know, Bridget Hosky voted for all the parks that are in her district and that's the, I'm just asking that we do that.
I think you'll be comfortable,
That's-
I think you'll be very comfortable with
Thank
the
you.
process.
I'm sure I will be, I just, still.
All right, moving on, I've got food bank support.
Did you want to mention something about the Parks
sorry.
Councilwoman?
Yeah, I just wanted to know, it's only like $1,300, but what was spent on parks already? Like, what was done?
1320, I don't remember, I'll have to get back to you.
Right.
Yeah, I'll make a note of that.
Food banks, yeah, I'm sorry, Councilwoman, are you all
I'm
set?
through.
I'm very interested in the food bank because I didn't understand what was going on in the meeting.
Sure. So, I think the issue we're having is the way the money is being allocated and the buckets that it's being presented in. And I'll take the high school as an example. So it turns out that every student in West Haven gets free breakfast and free lunch. When summertime hits, schools are open for the same thing. The only program that I can find is a pantry program that's run out of the high school and Bailey, where food is made available to students for weekends and personal hygiene products are made available. They're spending on donations roughly $800 a month. If we propose to increase that to $3,000 a month, they won't need that much money. We've got $100,000 in that bucket of money that I don't think we can spend the way it's been earmarked.
So, I challenge you and your committee, it is not just, and I don't want to speak for the rest of the council, it's very near and dear to my heart, so I could get a little passionate about it. It is not just about the Bailey and the West Haven High School pantries. This is about Noble Street School might have families, might have working dads, dads out there working 4 jobs trying to put food on the table. This is about finding an organization that will create, in my mind, is what we were looking for, is an organization that would create a plan that would ensure our most vulnerable are not going hungry.
You have that on your list, and we could fund that, but what I'm suggesting is the way this is written, you don't need 100,000 specific to schools. You could move some of that money to the organization you're talking about, which would do a better job in that scenario.
So, school is 10 months a year, so there's the summertime where kids, we don't even know how they're eating. Or I know Neil and his team, they deliver lunches, or they were doing it, at Painter Park and at the playground camps.
Correct.
That we need to find out, if no one has spoken to the Board of Ed or gone into the schools to have these conversations, we don't really know. So you're right, we may not need 100,000 over the course of the next 2 years. I don't know, but until we get a plan in place, they might need it to upstart it. I don't know, but it's over the summertime. I can tell you, I work with kids every day, and you'd be surprised.
A couple things. Number one, we've asked the school administrators and the 4 applicants to come before the ARPA committee at the next meeting to ask these questions. But I think there are a lot of teachers who actually provide to students on their own.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very difficult for us to reach those students, those teachers, and a lot of those teachers don't want to be reached. They bring in the gloves, they bring in the hats, they bring in things to their students. The pantry concept, according to the teachers, has worked very well. for the middle school and the high school. We can ask about expanding that when they come before us at the next meeting. I did call some food banks, and the answer I get is there's enough food, there's not enough infrastructure to deliver the food. So once we go through those interviews, I think we need to come back to you, the council, and say we need to move this money around a little bit, because we think the more valuable play is to build out locations, provide refrigerators, provide vehicles. The food bank has enough food, apparently. When you talk to these providers, food's not the problem. They have the food. Delivering the food is the bigger problem. And if you create an infrastructure, they can serve a lot more people over a longer period of time versus going out and buying, a tractor trailer of peanut butter and bread or something. So we don't have all the answers now, but after we do these interviews, we'd like to come back and talk to you about that.
Councilwoman?
I think you answered the question, but I just want to make sure. When the Board of Ed comes in, you're going to ask if the elementary schools, like the middle school and the high school, if they can have a pantry on premise. I think that's what we were looking for, so that even the elementary kids, if they were hungry, can go and say, can I bring some food home? That's, having something in each and every school would be very helpful.
Yeah, we're finding the problem gets larger as the grades go up. The high school having the largest problem, the middle school the second largest. I'm sure there's a need in the elementary schools, and we'll talk to the teachers about that. But $100,000 is going to be too much to fund those pantries. We'll be giving money back to the feds if we go that route. We need to think of spending this money with the successful organizations who can't go the next level because they don't have the space, they don't have the refrigeration, they don't have the vehicles. I think that's a smarter play, but after we do the interviews, I'll come back and talk to you.
Thank you.
Councilwoman?
And I know you said you'd come back and talk to us, Ken. So we're really taking off, because I did send you an email. I don't know if you saw it or not.
Yeah, I did, yeah.
Okay, so we're taking that off the table about splitting it the 4 ways and everything.
Yeah, so the issue is I wanted to look at all the different options and what was allowed under ARPA. One of the things ARPA allows is to take your 4 best applicants or all your applicants and split it evenly. I don't think that's an answer right now, although the plan is split evenly. If you look at the plan, it's 100,000, 100,000, it's split evenly. I wanted to ask that question, and that is allowable, but I think with the interviews, which was our next best thought, that'll change.
Because there's probably a lot of funds that need to go into the operation.
That's what we're thinking, yeah.
Right?
And I actually went, I visited the old KSC building. I met with the Vertical Church. They've got, 2,800 square feet. That's a mess right now. They just rented. They want to put in a handicap ramp. They want to do clothes and food. It's in a prime location. They need refrigeration. They need bathrooms redone. They want to put people in there manning this facility full time. That, to me, is a great project. And that's probably $150,000 spend, not $100 spend. They're also operating a soup kitchen that they're getting me more information of out of the church here. So that's coming in, and once I get enough data, I'll come back and share it with you.
Thank you.
Moving on to the Johnson Community Center, that is in design. Contract has been settled, and we're meeting with the stakeholders to make sure all their needs are met there. Stormwater management. I'm being told that the bid for the engineer who looks at the entire city is expected to come back soon. And I've heard different dates, but I'm told now that we should have that soon. In the meantime, I have an engineer by the name of Brandon Hanfield, who I'm taking out to various spots in the city, and he's writing up little mini reports. And once I get enough information, I can send in a small crew to clean a culvert or solve some flooding. And I will keep you updated on that through emails as I go into your various districts.
I want to just get this on the record so that constituents aren't confused or So you were kind of doing two different things. You
Correct.
had this gentleman that you're going around and seeing if you can do kind of
Quick fix.
thank you,
Yeah.
a quick fix. Then there was also an engineer that we are bringing in that is going to do a citywide analysis in hopes of figuring out
A master plan.
a master plan.
Yeah.
And part of this too is that, I mean, I just want people to know that we're then going to follow up and talk to our state delegation and our federal delegation to see if they can get us funding to go in and try, no promises, but
Sure.
the thought is, and I'm not sure if State Rep Dorinda Borer has reached, she's talked to us both, yes, about getting this analysis and being able to go after and get some of this money that is out there that we have not gone after before that might
Yeah.
be able to help those other $10 million projects.
So,
that-
yeah, so on that point, you can't apply to those larger grants and funding until you have this study. I'm told they've identified a $10 million grant that is within the possibility of getting for West Haven, providing we spend money on this study. So that's
Right.
happening. You know, I ask about it, I push for it, and it seems to be moving in the right direction. But in the meantime, you know, for $100,000, we might be able to go clean some culverts,
Right.
save some people from flooding. I can't do the big stuff with that, but I'm going around. I am able to provide some answers to people who have not been given answers. I think Lake Avenue is one example. Washington Avenue is another, which I could talk more about. So that's the plan right now. And then the third leg of this stool is the vac truck. So the vac truck has been ordered, and it will be delivered to us in March of next year. And that final number, I think I told you last time, came in at 502.
Thank you. I just think it was just, I just wanted to make sure it was really clear and that people understood the work that you're doing and the different. Thank
Yep.
you. Thank you so much, Ken.
Thank you. The Recycling Reuse Center, we've gotten as far as conducting a survey in Helm Street. We also are in a contract that is in front of the attorney. The attorney is reviewing the contract, and because we're using outside counsel, it goes fairly quickly. They get back to us, we have the mayor sign it, we move on, so that should happen pretty soon. Child safety, sidewalks. So I asked the council for $50,000 in contingency. I used 3,000 of it. I am now going to share with you this guy.
Thank you.
Oh, yes, I saw that.
So, you know, I don't know that I need an official motion or anything, I just want everybody to be comfortable. I'd like to explore spending the $47,000 on rebuilding this ramp. If there's resistance to that, take it back, put it in contingency, but I think I need to move ahead on this. This is pretty bad. So I've got an engineer coming down to talk to me. I'm not gonna spend a lot of money on soft costs. I'm just gonna go, talk about the whole thing's gonna be demolished, or if we can save part of it. The rail is extremely expensive, so any work we do to the ramp, we're gonna keep the rail, because that could cost more than the ramp, the way steel costs these days. So I just wanna keep the council, updated on the plans.
Yeah, I saw that. Thank you. I think that needs to be fixed.
That's Seth Haley. Yeah.
Oh, Councilman?
Thank you. Ken, that looks like it's like the use of rock salt or something. Like, what caused that deterioration of the concrete like that? Is that something we can prevent moving forward?
Yeah, so we're telling the facilities people to use magic salt, which
Okay.
acts like salt but doesn't deteriorate the concrete. We're also exploring doing a stamped concrete on that.
Okay.
which would help it a little bit. But as you can see, it's fallen apart. It's in use. We'd like to rebuild that and then protect it.
Thank you.
Moving on to the broadband access, I think the library is doing a great job. They're sending us invoices. They have $100,000 and they can serve 88 families with a new laptop and a point of access for the internet. I think that's going very well. The windows at City Hall, we do have a contract in front of the attorney, so I'll have more for that, more information on that for you in the future. Moving on to the cameras, we had 3 engineers show up for the bid. We're waiting for the pricing to come in, and we'll be moving forward on that fairly soon. And we feel we have a good plan for cameras along the beach. It would stretch from the Sandy Hook Bridge all the way down to West Walk. And once that section is done, we could take the same vendor, the same engineer, and move on to the next section. Police retention fund, that is off our plate. We're showing that as paid. Money was transferred to the police, so we think that's, we can close that. And by the way, we're running, if you look at your list there, we are running about 10% above national average for spending money. I think we're at 25%, something like that. The national average right now is 12%. So we feel good about the projects that you've approved, that we're able to spend the money. We have the children's camp. We're collecting data on that to get back to you with a report. The Painter Park Field House is under review with the attorney. That will be active for design very soon. EMS pay, I'm hearing different things on, and one of the things I'm hearing is they're having a little bit of an issue collecting data because of the transfer of the firehouse. But I'll get back to you as I hear more about that. From there, I have 2 new items for you tonight, which I'll make very quick.
Looks like, the Mandalorian.
Sure.
I noticed you skipped over the fire districts.
Yeah, not a lot of information. They're all doing their own thing right now, and they're communicating with ARPA. If you watched the last meeting, the Center District asked to use some of the money for soft costs for design, which we agreed to, but I'll keep you updated as that information comes in. So it turns out that the police department has in their possession gas masks that are older than 15 years. I'm being told in a recent OSHA inspection, the equipment failed. It's made out of rubber, it has a shelf life, and basically they have issues meeting the OSHA guidelines without those masks. That being said, a quote was received for $49,000, which gives the police department 26 gas masks, which takes care of their needs, I guess with their SWAT team and other individuals who would use it. These new masks have intercoms, communications, so unlike the old masks where you had to yell through the mask, now you can actually speak to your colleagues through the mask. I've checked with UHY, and this is completely reimbursable under ARPA. You're sitting on about $2.8 million in contingency. The ask tonight would be that you would consider offering just under $50,000 for the purchase of this equipment for the police department.
So my first question is that it says order date August 25th, so it would assume that these have already been ordered.
No, if you look at the top, I asked the same question. You know, I think alike. If you look on the top, it's a quotation. They put down the quote date as the order date. It's still a quotation. If you look at the upper hand right corner, nothing's been ordered.
Just checking, because
I asked the same exact question.
Any questions?
This is gonna expire the 24th of this month, supposedly. Well,
The quote.
Yeah, because of the escalation, Mr. Chairman, all these quotes come through with an expiration date. I'm pretty confident if we approve the 50, we can get these done for 50,000.
And when would they be brought in by?
Delivery date on these guys, I think somebody said 6 to 8 weeks, but I'm not sure.
Councilman?
So Ken, I'm not discounting the need, I'm just, so who made the request?
The request came to me from Commissioner McCarthy. And I spoke to an officer today. You know, when I get a request, I try to envision the questions you may ask. So I then called an officer over there and got the whole rundown, which was much greater detail than I had gotten from Commissioner McCarthy. And he explained to me that the masts they have failed the OSHA inspections, they're falling apart, and they're over 15 years old.
So we're lucky to have the chief here with us tonight. Chief, would you mind?
Yes, certainly. Joe Perno, Chief of West Haven PD, 200 Sawmill Road. I'm there all the time. The OSHA test is called a fit test, where you get the seal around your face. Our masks are so old that the flexibility of the mask did not work. It just was like putting a Halloween mask. It just was so brittle. We attempted to look for it ourselves. It was very costly. We were going to do it 3, 4, 5 at a time maybe. And then we got the idea, oh, well, maybe it can go this way. And we put the questions out, and Mr. Carney said he believed that it was. And I believe that it piggybacked on the fire department's request also.
That's coming next.
Yeah, okay, never mind. Check that one. So, yeah, but it was brought to us by the fit test through OSHA. We would have never even known.
And the number 26 comes from where? Is that for like the SRT team?
That's our special response team, correct.
What's the lifespan on them?
That I'm not sure of, but we got 15 years out of the other ones.
I think we're looking at 10 years.
I'm just
Yeah.
curious that if it's, you know,
10 years.
We can ask the next guy about that, so.
do they get a warranty?
Yep.
And these are under Connecticut State contract, I see here with a contract number,
Yep.
correct? Thank you.
Councilwoman? Wait, she had.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Councilwoman.
Chief, I'm just curious, is this the only, quote that we got? Or maybe that's for Ken?
So when you go to the state bid list, it's already been put out to bid.
Uh-huh.
And if you buy from that, you satisfy the local ordinance.
So we just, okay, all right, just wanted, I did miss that.
That's
Okay.
usually the one that they put out there that everyone uses, and it's been tested and true, so.
Okay.
Not a lot of companies doing this.
Okay, thank you.
Councilwoman?
Public Works. I'm just curious why this request would come through that department, not the police department.
That's a good, we were just in conversation, I believe.
Well, I speak to Public Works on a regular basis. I update them on projects that we update you on that pertain to them. Commissioner McCarthy informed me of this ask. I then called down at the police station and got the information I gave you tonight.
I'm just curious, and you're the chief, and.
Just through conversation as to how we could get it, just everybody just
Right,
banging
but I'm
it
just,
around.
questioning like the urgency and the need now.
Well,
So it
based on-
wasn't something that was at the top of your
Probably about
list.
10 days ago, we found out that it was, first we thought it was the machine,
because everyone failed. So we got another machine to do the fit test.
And you do your own fit testing here in the police?
No, we actually had the fire department come in and do it at the PD. They had the machine through doing for their stuff, their Scott masks and stuff.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. So why don't we just jump to your next ask, since I think did this come through Public Works as well?
No, this one came from the West Shore Fire. So it turns out that, God forbid, if there is a mass shooting, and that could be on a green, it could be on a street, God forbid, it could be in a school. The goal of the fire department is to stop the bleeding, to literally go to the victims and get them off-site or administer first aid to stop the bleeding. They can only do that in an active shooting scenario if they have armored vests, which they presently do not have. If they don't have the armored vests, they do not go into the active shooting area, is what I'm being told. Now, apparently, there's 4 vests that exist in one department, but they're older ceramic vests. They need more. The vest quote that I have here is $3,215 per vest, and they're looking to spend also $50,000 on vests.
So didn't we give them $1,025,000?
Not for vests, though. That was for facility upgrades.
Air purification?
Yes.
They used the whole thing?
$25,000.
Yeah. 25,000 was mandated for purification. The other $1 million is being set aside for sleeping quarters, upgrades, things like that.
I will say this.
Sure.
I am all for ensuring that our residents are safe and ensuring our first responders are safe. I just find it difficult to understand why this request would be coming from West Shore and our center district in Allentown or what. We're not concerned about the firefighters down there being able to respond.
I misspoke. This is not for West Shore. This is for all 3 departments. My
Oh,
apologies.
because
Yeah,
I was really going to be annoyed.
But so I think the issue for me is, you're only seeing the items that I can vet for you, and the way I vet them is I talk to the end user. In this case, it was West Shore, but he had collaborated with the other 2 fire departments. There are things that I'm asked to bring you that I don't bring you because they make no sense at all. But I think these 2 items make sense. And again, we have $2.8 million in contingency. This $100,000 request that takes care of the fire and the police for 2 very important, apparatus that allows them to do more.
So this is 3,000. Can you tell me how it's 50?
The number of vests that they need.
Oh, this is per vest?
Correct. Yes,
It's about 16 vests.
correct.
So we have 3 fire departments, 16 vests. That isn't divided equally. So is this Common Core math? I'm not sure what's going on.
The math they used is the people who would go into the active shooter scenario would all have a vest. So you have X amount per district. Some districts have more of those people because they cover bigger territory, obviously. So I think center ends up with more vests than the other 2.
Do you have something?
No, I was gonna ask that question, but you answered it.
Oh, how you divide
Yeah.
16
Yeah.
into 3? Huh?
No, I think so. Yeah, I think it's
Yes.
pretty well.
Councilman Bruno.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. So, basically, this is to allow the firefighters to go into a hot zone. On certain-
Administer first aid.
Right. With the PD.
Correct.
to try to save lives within seconds, they would need this vest to try to go into a hot zone with our PD. That's what we're saying this request is for,
That's what I'm being told.
right? And
Yes.
the reason it's not even numbers, because the center district has more rescue units on versus the shore or Arlington.
That is correct.
Correct?
Yes.
Can I ask a question? And do firefighters know they have to do that? Like I know, like, and I don't mean any disrespect. I'm just literally curious, Chief. I mean, your police officers, I know that there's a good chance they're gonna engage in, I don't know, what is it called? Active shooter. But firefighters?
So,
Wait, can we?
Point of order, Pete.
so I asked that question. I had no concept this happened. So what I'm being told is, you've got a large area with several victims, they're bleeding out. The fire department cannot go in and save those victims unless they're wearing vests. That's the bottom line.
So I need to talk to the chiefs, the fire chiefs, and really, and can we invite them? I'd love for you to come back too, Chief Perno, because I need to understand this a little bit more. I'm not ready to move on this evening. I don't know about anyone else where the rest of us stand.
This concept has started since Columbine. It's that old, and that's more
Huh?
I said we need to digest this. They're just going to speak for us. It is important enough that we need to understand everything. I can't make a decision tonight.
Anyone else?
It's the paramedics, the
Correct.
EMS fire
Yes.
people that are wearing the vest to go in to bring the people to safety. It's not like the guy that drives the truck
No.
or puts out the fire. It's the paramedics that need
That is
these
correct.
vests.
That's what I'm being told, yes.
So they understand that's part of their job then.
I don't want to speak for them, but according to the chiefs, yes,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they could do the job a lot better if they're protected. So.
I
Yes.
understand. If you have them come back, if we could put that, send an invite, Chairman, to have discussion, I would, like to vote on the, C-50 masks for the fire department, for the police department. I don't know how that would be done.
Yeah, I have a point of order on how I think it might have to be done.
Okay, yes, please.
So we've been labeling all of our ARPAs as communications, so I
Correct.
think we would need to label it as
Yeah.
as an A dash wherever we left off. Call it something, we'd have to make a motion to add it to the agenda.
Right.
And then we don't have a resolution prepared for that, and I'm not sure if we would be using the standard cookie cutter ones that we've been using. I could probably find one, or.
Yeah, so
what- I
we'll
don't know
just
what-
do
I
it
don't
for
know
the
how you
next
guys would
meeting.
do that.
Ken, because we don't have what it takes, but I'm pretty sure, Chief, we are, yes. Yes.
I mean, if these things are so important
You'll
to,
need,
sorry, who am I?
you'll need another quote if we don't do it tonight, because it's gonna expire. Can you look at,
Another suggestion.
tell me your other suggestion.
So my other
Right.
suggestion would be that, and I know that Ken has spent a lot of his time here, but maybe if there's any other housekeeping things that we need to do, we could do it in a special meeting, so we
Yes.
wouldn't have to wait 2 more weeks for a council meeting.
Okay.
That's just a suggestion.
No, that's perfect. Thank you for thinking outside the box. Councilwoman, I apologize.
No,
Go
I
ahead,
wouldn't.
thank you.
I guess I'm just wondering, like, when you have a need for equipment that's so vital to your ability to do your job, these are the tools that you need to do your job. Why wouldn't they be built into the budget? Why weren't they added to the regular budget?
You're asking the wrong guy, I don't do budgets.
I'm just asking.
So-
I mean, whoever.
I think you can look throughout the entire city, and you can find deficiencies, like this, that a budget will not support. We have a one-time opportunity with this federal money to take care of these issues. We see it being taken care of on the school side, on the city side, and this is the police and the fire.
Right, I understand.
Yeah.
But there's a whole bunch of people out there that these funds were also designated to help, and we don't ever talk about them. Ever.
She's right. She's
Ever. And I keep asking about that, and
No outbursts, please, please.
we never get to,
Margaret.
we never get to that part.
E-
And I just
every-
feel like we keep going back. The
Every
hand just
project
keeps coming out
I understand.
over and over and over
Every
again.
project on your sheet there, you gave me.
I get that.
Yeah.
But we didn't give you these things tonight. That's what I'm saying. I just would like to know, when we're gonna start talking about everybody else.
We just put in $500,000 in sidewalks that service the entire community.
Ken,
100%.
Ken,
100%.
I'm
That's
looking
all.
for one block near Carrigan. I've been begging for, and Councilwoman Tucker is correct. We have to think about the people that use stuff every day for safety. God forbid that anything happens and,
Like the
an
police and
active
fire.
shooter, and all that. God
Yep.
forbid that. But I'm talking about one block where people walk to school and or come down the hill from Fairfax, one block and it's not safe. I'm not ready to move on with anything until that sidewalk is put in place for the safety of those people. I can't.
What's that?
So the sidewalk.
I'm going to, yeah.
The sidewalk that you're referring to, my understanding is Lee is working with the tenant of the Blake Building, or the new owner, to try and get you that sidewalk. There are several obstacles there. Ownership of land, a rail, and putting a sidewalk on land that's not ours.
And there's also like people walking in the middle of the street every single day, and kids too. So we have to weigh that out.
It's one sidewalk.
It's one block. But that's all. That's all I have to say. I'm just never ready to do that today.
So, I don't know, do we want to schedule a special meeting? I don't, what do we want to do, Chairman?
I think we should discuss ourselves first before we do a special meeting. Find out everybody.
Okay. All right, anything else, Ken?
No, I'm good.
Thank you.
You guys have a great night. Thanks for your time.
Thanks, Ken.
Mr. Jackson, can you give us a, quick update on the MARB? And I have a question I want to ask, and I want your professional opinion. Is Lee not here this evening?
I don't know.
He
if
was.
he's here. I will,
Oh, what?
so I'll give a quick update on Marv. We had a meeting on September 8th, predominantly going over our finances, talking a little bit about the Moody's issue that we discussed earlier, as well as the rollover of the bans, and a series of contracts, typically Clean Water Fund contracts that you passed, and some ARPA contracts as well, including the vacuum truck, to which Secretary Beckham found a lot of mirth in the sewer vacuum truck. There will be a subcommittee meeting. They're going to do their best to have subcommittee meetings in the host locations. So the subcommittee will be meeting here at West Haven City Hall on September 20th. I suspect it's going to be in this room because George Curtis and I, two old Radio Shack guys, were crawling around on the floor a couple of weeks ago getting that monitor to work. And the sound here is I think, better than what's currently available in Harriet North. But it's not finalized yet, but for anyone watching or who would want to attend, it will be at West Haven City Hall on September 20th.
Okay. Does anyone else, I have a question regarding MARB and a particular subject. Does anyone else have any other questions? Lee, I'd like for you to weigh in on my question. If, does anyone else have anything they want to ask? Okay. So, for the record, I want your professional opinion on this so that we can move forward. Because I believe I understand or have a clear understanding of what the MARB will do And I just want to know what your opinion on it is. The Village Improvement Committee, or Village Improvement Association, thank you. Couldn't think of the A. Bought a piece of land. Their ask, I know they're going to, the mayor wanted us to allocate money, $1 million, if they would build on Kerrigan. They chose not to do that, but they would like for us to reconsider giving them that $1 million. I believe that the MARB is going to weigh in on that $1 million. They're gonna say, I mean, they're sitting here saying we can't give premium pay to the fire department. I mean, they're sitting here questioning everything. And I'm thinking, if I was the MARB and I was going to critique somebody, I would say, if the council gives $1 million to the Village Improvement Association to build that building, what is the projected life cost of it, right? I think that we should get from the Village Improvement Association, and I think I've asked for it, their 5-year plan, their 10-year plan of how you're going to fund this building and what the actual cost is going to be. Do I believe that Allentown needs a library? Absolutely. But what is that library actually going to cost? Not the $5 million to build the library, but the actual yearly cost to staff it, to turn the lights on, the water. Tell me again? Oh, right. All of those operational costs, which I have shared with the Village Improvement Association, to say it's not as easy to say, yes, let's build you a building. We need to know what it's going to cost. And the staff that was at One Forest is now being absorbed somewhere else. And that money is being used in other ways. That money's not put to the side to say this is, you know, this $200,000 out of this budget is going to be paying the bills and the staffing for that new building. And I say all of this to say, am I crazy? Like, is that reasonable to think that it's not just about building the building? It's all of that other stuff. And it's next year when the Village Improvement Association comes before us with their budget and they say, oh, we need an additional $400,000. Where are we going to get that money? Like, where's $400,000 going to come from to pay off the mortgage, to pay off all of those bills they accrued? I might be rambling, but do you get what I'm saying?
Yes. So
That I'm rambling, or you get what I'm saying?
well, you had a lot of questions in there, so I won't answer all of them. But I think I get your gist. So if I can tell you that if, based on my personal experience and both my observation, if the MARV board had a $1 million expenditure before it concerning a request by the mayor and an approval by this council for any entity, the scrutiny you just described would be applied. There's no question in my mind. They've applied the same scrutiny to all the contracts.
Because I've tried to apply that scrutiny, and I get it thrown back at me that I don't want a library in Allentown, and that's not the case. I just need to know what the ask is. It's not just $5 million for a building.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the library's financing structure, there's actually a separate library fund in state government that can fund up to 50% of costs. I would think they would hope to hit that. And then there's other grant monies. But I think if anybody's paid any attention to MARB, if they wanted information about anything to do with the library and somebody said, oh, we're exempt, we don't have to abide by your regulations concerning, let's say, expenditures over $50,000, I think they'd be sorely mistaken. The MARB
I got
board,
a letter stating from their attorney that that's the case.
well, the MARB board laments, I mean, we were just there last meeting, they don't like that the fire districts don't provide them with information upon demand And the fire districts, West Shore and Center, are not in your charter. The Village Improvement Association is. In the charter, it says the Village Improvement Association is to be treated as any other city department. And the Village Improvement Association is in your budget. You have a line item in your budget. It's over, what is it, close to $1.5 million. So
Right.
none of those are true for the fire districts. So to compare themselves with the fire districts doesn't seem, but look, it's not my rule that things get reviewed by the MARB. I raised the issue because I think the issue will come up in the future. The other thing that's also come up in the future with MARB is the potential ability to use the other levers of state government if they don't like the answer. So if the Village Improvement Association is seeking to utilize other state resources, I kind of think the MARB's going to want a lot of questions answered before they do that. That's been my experience thus far, and certainly my experience since we've been in Tier 4. But yes, I think that all the questions that you raise would be questions that we get at the MARB, so I would hope the council would raise those before we bring something up to the MARB like that. It would make it easier.
Right. I appreciate that. I think they need to, they have to tell us what it's gonna cost. They have to tell us what the projected ask is gonna be going forward in, 24, 25, 26. It can't just be, a surprise. I
Yes,
mean,
and-
we'd be,
Just in terms of the concept that, someone's accusing you as a member or any other of the members that I've worked with on this, you don't want a library in Allentown. I remember a lot of Friday meetings. City Hall was closed, but plenty, there were members here that went. I remember touring sites with this group. I remember providing ideas. Immediately, the idea of getting FEMA trailers and establishing a site right at Quigley Stadium was rejected. Trailers were rejected. Temporary trailers were rejected at other locations. Many locations were rejected. So the idea that you don't want a library in Allentown, I beg to differ, because my presence was required at least a half a dozen meetings and other research. So I think the council has shown tremendous interest in trying to get a library in Allentown.
thank you. Any other questions?
Can we ask for Colleen and the board to come before the next meeting to answer some of the questions? Can we send out an invitation? Thank you.
Councilman?
I mean, my thought is, I don't, if that's the case, that their attorney said that they don't need to, show their expenses or whatever the letter said, I mean, I'm playing it out, right? Every single ARPA, decision that we made here, goes in front of the MARB. So they really need to be able to we're kind of a dry run, right? And, so they're gonna have to come through us and show us the information we request in order for us to consider potentially allocating that $1 million, but then they're gonna have to do the same exercise and likely more, when they go to Hartford, because that's where that request will end up.
Well, more important than that, they filed 990 income tax returns as a nonprofit. They're gonna have to report all this stuff anyway. All this stuff is gonna be in the public domain. I don't know why you would want it to be a secret today, and then you're gonna have to report it in your 990 form anyway. So it doesn't make sense to me.
So when looking at the issue, I agree with everything Attorney Tiernan said. It is crystal clear that ARPA expenditures in excess of $50,000 for any purpose will have to go to MARB. That is our money being transferred from our coffers. That is as clear as day. And I think it's important to note that we have submitted items to MARB that we did not have to. But in the interest of being good partners and seeking, good governance, we have submitted such items for review, information, and discussion. And we strongly encourage the Village Improvement Association to follow suit.
Chairman, did you have?
Yeah, my understanding, if we give them this $1 million, they wanted to use it to build this library, which I have no problem with it, but by the time they start this library to build it, they'll lose the $1 million, they'll go back to the feds. They won't have enough time.
There is currently a hard stop on expenditure of these funds, absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm lost. I think we're done. Is that everything? Oh, the police pension, there's no update, correct? Thanks. Do we have an update on the police pension, or is it still?
Did they send anything to you? No. Yeah, so, I apologize. I will follow up tomorrow. It should be completed. They were pivoting back. We did have them do some work in terms of bonding that I didn't realize their capacity was so small. It should be done. I'll email people as I know things before the next meeting or even this week.
Do you want me to send you a reminder? I can.
Your reminders are always appreciated.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. And your Committee on Finance is closed at 8:48.
Thank you.
Chairman.
That's all right.
51. Who's counting?
That's not right?
No.
I apologize.
It's okay.
Oh, yeah, public
I
lands.
don't.
We're at 8:51, public lands, yeah.
Okay. Turn over to public lands.
Thank you, Chairman. The time is now 8:52. We're holding communication G. We need more information on it with all the people that are interested in the purchase.
Okay.
So we're not gonna move on tonight.
You done?
And I'm sorry. We're closed at 8:52.
All right. Unfinished,
Yep.
unfinished business. Mr. Spryer.
Good evening. So you asked for an update on the purchasing card system. It is up and running. We began it on July 1st, just to coincide with the new fiscal year. We currently have 9 P cards, soon to be 8. One was in the mayor's office, and the mayor's assistant has left, so we've canceled her card, and we will be issuing another one to her new assistant as well. The billing cycle runs from the 7th of the month to the 6th of the following month, and then funds are automatically withdrawn from our account 10 days later, so we never have to worry about any late payments. Journal entries are then made against budget accounts for each P card. Each P card holder is responsible for logging a transaction log. Let me just show you a quick example of one. That comes to my office and then is logged into our general ledger. So they keep a log of all their purchases. To date, we've spent just over $22,000 on the 9 cards. But there has been no issues. Everyone is returning receipts on time. Everyone that gets a P card was made to sign a policies and procedures agreement stating that all policies and procedures for purchasing in the city will be followed in adherence with the credit card or the P card, and that any non-qualifying or out-of-business purchases will be the responsibility of the card holder to pay for. So, they are monitored weekly by myself, and we have the P card set up. The difference between a P card and a credit card is that you can strictly monitor what's purchased with a P card. Alcohol can't be purchased with our P cards. Food can, because we have, food needs in the city that are addressed with the P card. But credit limits are set by user. They can be upped at any time. So if the credit limit is $1,000 with a certain department and they're going to make a purchase for $1,500, all they need to do is call me and I can up their credit limit to $1,500. So, but like I said, everything we started July 1st. We just finished our third billing cycle on September 6th, and everything's going well.
Anybody any questions?
I do.
Okay.
So, when we reconcile cards where I am,
Mm-hmm.
we do it all online, right? So I don't know, do you guys does a P card holder, I assume that card is in my name, correct?
Correct. So right now, the 9 card holders are
I don't need to know their names.
different offices. There's
Right.
all different departments, yep.
So, do they reconcile their card with a receipt and then it comes to you and you?
They don't reconcile anything themselves.
Oh, they don't?
No. So all the purchases are monitored weekly by myself, and then at the end of the month, by the 7th of their billing cycle ends on the 6th. So by the 7th of the month, they're asked to have their receipts and their transaction log to me. I then match it up with their statement, their online statement, and it's already withdrawn. 10 days later, it's withdrawn from our bank
So
account.
there's no reconciliation on my part, me using.
No, we go ahead and reconcile it with the journal entry on the general ledger. So their budget accounts are taken out manually by ourselves. Right now, this was kind of the quick way to, the simple way to get things started. You know, we only have 9 cards in the system right now. You know, other municipalities have 30, 40 cards around their.
And
their
that would probably behoove them to let the card holder.
Correct,
reconcile
and that's like I said, we just want to get our feet underneath us with this program first. Once we get familiar with the program, online access is easy, and you can go ahead and reconcile it yourself. Yeah.
You want to go over the video?
Sure.
recording?
Yeah, Jermaine couldn't be here today. He apologized. Asked me to just give a quick update. So, back in April, we had a company come in and do an assessment of council chambers, Harriet North, and the conference room on the 3rd floor to bring it up to speed with cameras, multi-camera angles, iPad access for users to go ahead and control cameras. We've got a baseline budget based off of the quote that they gave us. The only issue is that Jermaine is waiting for the hiring of a network engineer, a network security engineer. He's not willing to move forward on a project that's this involved with a network without having that position filled. He's actively filling it. He's actively engaged with candidates right now, but as of right now, he hasn't filled the position. So once he fills the position, we'll send this out to bid, and you're realistically looking at a 4-month process with order times, lead times, and installation. But this is did a similar project to this in Newtown when I was in Newtown, and it worked seamlessly. It's just someone logging into an iPad and changing cameras if they need to. So it's every seat would have a gooseneck microphone that is portable just as these, but goes directly to your feed and also to speakers in each room as well. So we'd be doing the speaker system in Harriet North over as well.
Now, is that going to record and also we can use live stream on it too?
Record, live stream, cloud storage, anything you want.
Tell Jermaine the sooner the better.
Like I say, he's just got to fill that position, that network position. But once he fills that, we'll send that right out to bid.
Anybody got any questions? Yeah, Rich, thanks.
Nice. All right.
I'm going to skip for a minute.
Thank
Chief
you.
Colonel, want to come in and do an animal shelter for us, please?
Good evening, Council. I'm here for questions regarding the bottle redemption program.
Anybody any questions?
An accounting of the money that's earned and how money is being spent.
I'll start from why we are here today. Prior to 2018, it was a volunteer collection of the bottle redemptions at the animal shelter by a group called Wags and Whiskers. There was an issue within Wags and Whiskers. They disbanded, and we were approached by the Vertical Church to continue this program, and in 2018 they picked it up. They redeem all the bottles. They are sorted or whatever by volunteers at the animal shelter where they are dropped off. Vertical Church takes them to a redemption center. In 2020, when the pandemic hit, there was no other place for the general public to drop off the bottles and cans, so they were dropping them off in great number at the animal shelter, and I guess that's continued. The Vertical Church redeems them. They keep them in a separate account in their facility on their ledger, and whenever there is an animal that is in need, that is in the control of the shelter, they will contact them and they get the dog or cat medically taken care of, and the bill is paid for out of that fund by Vertical Church. We have no contact with the money, with the redemptions, nothing. So it's a totally separate volunteer organization that is managed, and both the money as well as the return of the bottles at the redemption center by Vertical Church.
Okay. Okay, thanks for that explanation. Just for the record, I knew all that because I think you know I've been working there and volunteering to help out. Is there any way that you can make that public, the funds public? Will you give permission to the church to make it public?
I don't even think I have the capabilities of doing it. They control it. This is a volunteer organization by the church, and it's their funds that we asked to be paid out of for an animal. The dog gets hit by a car, and we can't find the owner. So we take the vet. They contact the vet, and they do direct payment to the vet. Doesn't even touch the animal shelter or city funds at all.
Right. I get that part because I actually had a dog that one of my foster dogs was a Vertical Church dog, and I had seen the records for that. Pastor Paul is here, so Pastor Paul had said that he would make the records public if you gave the okay to go.
I don't have that okay.
Okay.
I don't. This is totally something that is separate. The
Okay.
general public drops the
Right.
the bottles off, thinking that in the goodness of their heart they're helping an animal, and in the goodness of Vertical Church, they take up where we had faltered with the Wagons and Whiskers program, and they take no funds. I think it was June, we met, and they provided with a total ledger of expenditures and deposits. And I'll be quite honest with you, I'm not going to question Pastor Vance, Pastor Paul, or the Vertical Church of their trustworthiness or benevolence to this city, because they step up every chance they can for us.
So if a resident wants to know, they have to contact the Vertical Church directly at this point.
I don't even think a resident needs to know. This is a voluntary organization of bottles and cans.
Okay.
So can I ask a question?
You all done?
Yes, thank you.
Chairman,
Thank you,
can I
Chair.
ask a question? And I mean, What's his name? Lee, are you here? Hi, thank you. Thank you so much, Chief, for coming. I just have a question about the bottle redemption. Cans are collected for the animal shelter that the Vertical Church is managing to help pay vet bills for animals in the city that are hurt or need assistance. It's under the, animal shelter. They have an animal, they go to the Vertical Church. My assumption is that the Vertical Church is a private entity of some sort. They don't have to tell us how much is in the bank account. We can't force them to. I mean, they don't have to disclose it. And I think that's pretty much what the chief was saying. But I think there's this idea of the city, well, it's our bottles, it's our animals that are being serviced. We should know how much money is in the bank. And I'm thinking, we don't ask, and I'm just using this as an example. Give me another organization. Meals on Wheels, or Fish, or West East Care. Would it be the same for us to say to West East Care, we want to know how much is in your bank account, and West East Care says, I don't have to give you that information. We run a soup kitchen for the city. Was that did we understand my question? I
think you're trying to say it's complicated. So, yes, I think if you're going to ask any entity something, this panel should adhere to treating all entities equally, right? You don't want to be either accused of, or worse, put the city in a position where there's an argument that you treated one entity different than another. The bottle and can redemption is complicated because on one level it kind of works, so you don't want to tinker with what works. On the flip side, it's not good in the current climate that we're in, especially that we don't know. Like, we don't know what we're kind of dealing with. But my dealings with Vertical Church have always been positive.
I don't want to allude to the fact, and please not on anything that I'm saying, that I believe in any way that the Vertical Church is doing anything. I'm not saying you are. I'm making it very clear to any of those who might twist my words. What I'm saying is that the idea that we do not have to answer these questions is this idea that we treat all the organizations in our community the same, and if we start asking them what's in the bank account for the animal shelter, the cans you're donated, then we should be going to these other entities, and like you said, that and I'm just saying there are so I'm assuming what we're saying is it's a private entity. The police chief in the city has nothing to do with the cans. They're getting the cans, people are donating, they use that money to pay for the vet bill.
Yeah, no, what I was gonna say was, I've always worked well with Vertical Church. I think it wouldn't harm to ask voluntarily if it wouldn't be too much trouble, and if they could provide the information. I think you'll get a positive response from them. I don't think they're trying to hide anything, so, I think that's easy enough. It's something I think that more than just this body is curious of, not that anybody thinks there's gold in them their hills, but it's just something that this group is not the first group to ask, just wondering out loud, hey, I wonder how much is in that account. So I would recommend, as a policy, just, ask, could you voluntarily give us that information? And I'm pretty sure they would.
And speaking with the animal control officers and the sergeants that's in charge of the shelter, their concern is that all of this curiosity is going to stop people from donating the cans. That's their concern. There are people that go there and they drop off food, they drop off the cans, and they walk away, and it's, they talk to the animal control officer and say, gee whiz, we helped an animal today. So we don't want that to stop, because that's a part of their interaction with the public, as well as funding this program. And from as long as I've been involved in the church's involvement, they have always answered the call when they needed money for a dog or a cat, probably any of the other animals that was needed of medical care. And they have a person at the church that will reach out to the vet to set up payment. So we don't even know until we get the report.
So I just want to kind of clarify what I think he was saying. So basically, it's, you find out however much money is in there or how little money is in there. But if somebody like myself, I'm like, oh, I donate these cans all the time, hundreds of cans, I say I do a month. Well, they have 10 grand. Oh, I'm going to take these cans and now I'm going to go donate it to somewhere else. And
Or
then that
put them in their trash.
That need starts to move away, and then in 6 months there's nothing, and then it's no, we need those cans, and I understand that. So I'm comfortable with not getting a balance. That's just me. I was doing it because I was trying to get it because people wanted it. I am in alignment with you that they are a private entity. They fall under other organizations in the community that we don't question like this. That's just me, and I don't know how the rest of the council feels.
I'll tell you in a second. I totally agree. I honestly, I want to say it's ridiculous, but I understand people are concerned, but I don't see anything wrong with what's going on. You donate the cans, Vertical Church, out of their kindness, takes them, they do what they have to do, redeeming them, they get the money, police needs, the animal control needs something, they give it over. You could donate money to the Diabetes Association, you could donate, I don't want to go crazy here, but I agree. I don't think there's a need to be giving out what a certain company or 501c3 is doing voluntarily to help us, but that's just me.
What else?
One thing, I would like to just say thank you to Vertical Church for handling it. It's a sloppy, messy job to do. It's working flawlessly the way it is, where there's absolutely no issues. The animals are being taken care of properly, and I thank Vertical Church for handling it the way they do.
What else?
I agree.
That's on him.
Thank you.
I agree.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I kind of agree with the whole thing too, because since it's not a city thing, nothing that we have to look over, we have plenty of stuff that we need to keep our eyes on. It's working, the animals are being taken care of. It just, seems to be a smooth operation. I'm fine with the way it is. We need to concentrate on this kind of stuff.
I will follow up on this. I will say it is a disgusting job. It is the most disgusting job ever. And anybody that goes and works there, I thank them dearly.
There's volunteers, which I don't know how to thank, so.
Yeah, it's a disgusting job. If someone wants to, I'll say I agree with everything you guys said. If someone wants to follow up with the Vertical Church and ask them to give it voluntarily, I would say let them do that. I know that, I personally know that the money's being spent where it's supposed to be spent, because I saw records for my own foster dog that came from the shelter. So I'm okay. if a resident wants to find out, let them follow up with Vertical Church. So,
Yep. Set?
Yep, thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
thank you, Chief.
Lee, don't go anywhere. You're next. Thank you, Chief. Lee, give us an update on the investigating committee with Attorney Burns.
I spoke with him once. I mean, all I'm doing with him, he sent me a fee agreement that should be done in the next couple of days. He is trying to get some records. So I did allow him to have access to my paralegal to get those records. I think in the future, I apologize for tonight, but if I see this on the agenda, I will make sure I talk with the paralegal and then impress upon him that he needs to start targeting your meeting schedule for progress on that area. And I'll have a better report, I guess, for the next meeting, or have a report by him. Or have a report by Attorney Burns that he got the records, one way or the other.
I sent him a letter.
He has some.
I sent him a letter. I never got an answer.
If you want, I will chide him that he should respond to the council.
I appreciate it. Yes, you may.
So Lee, I thought I remember in the council meeting, I don't know, maybe a couple of meetings ago, when we had this conversation, and Melly, you could correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought we put the brakes on this because we determined that we have 3 other audits going on that are gonna uncover or look into a lot of the same things that we would pay this attorney to do. So I
Fine with me.
I thought there was no action, really.
So, we're waiting for the new auditors to come back with their full investigation of the Cone Resnick. And then the attorney will look into that. There are some documents that we asked for.
Right.
So,
But you want to wait on that?
yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's not.
That's fine.
Can I just say something really quick? Can we just be very specific about this? Because if we're reaching out to him, not reaching out to him, we're doing all this stuff in different silos, and then we end up with a $30,000 bill when we thought we weren't doing it. It's not gonna go over well with me.
Yeah.
Because I, like the councilman, thought it had been kiboshed. I just.
It is kiboshed. It is kiboshed, so.
Not
Until-
if people are calling him. Not if people are calling him. And I'm just wanting to make sure that the council knows, and maybe we should send, because there are council people that are not here, and if he's saying, like, oh yeah, you could contact them, and then we contact them, and that's a $750 billable call, I'm going to be annoyed when that bill
Right.
comes.
I will make sure that the comments by Councilman Garthwaite are presented to the attorney in question, and to ensure that the proper fiscal restraint also accompanies the policy that has been articulated.
Thank you. That's all I have, Chairman.
No, thanks. I'm glad I was brought up to date on that one. Well, as far as the potholes is not here, Economic Commission,
Chairman, can I say something, please,
Mhm.
regarding this? It was my understanding, and I know I wasn't here for when we were doing this, that the Economic Development Commission response and ARPA ideas, that I think some of what is missing, and it was brought up again this evening by residents, is that there are openings on commissions, and I believe Stacy can correct me if I'm wrong, that I had her send a communication to the mayor asking when these positions are going to be filled. And right now, I believe one of our openings in the city is the planning and development person has left. So we could either have a planning and development director or an economic something or another. It would behoove us to maybe get the positions filled on the Economic Development Commission and those other commissions. I mean, it's just, so I say all this to say, can we send the mayor another letter requesting what needs to be done? Because I understand she told us we, as a body, had no power to fill these positions, but something needs to be done. I think those emails went out about 6 weeks ago, Stacy, if I'm not mistaken, and I don't know whose committee that is, but I'm assuming that there's been no request to fill those openings, especially on the Economic Development Commission. I think there was 2. I'm saying this so that the community knows that we are taking action. We have changed our policy on doing things. We have a list of unfinished business that we keep trying to address and update. So follow up on commission openings, I think, should be on here. I'm not sure if there's anything else that we should add, or if that's under new business. I'm not sure, Chairman, I could be wrong. To put it in the words of my grandson, these things are annoying.
Councilman Hamilton.
Also, I think we requested like an updated list. Is Diane working on the updated list so we can see where the vacancies lie?
So, yes, if you don't mind me answering that. So, yeah, Diane has, per the request of the mayor, also has done an updated list, which I do believe she provided to the mayor, showing who,
Where the
vacancies are, and I believe that the mayor was in the process of making sure that it was correct.
Updated and correct, okay. Thank you. So everything is.
Alrighty. Now we're going to,
But I can send out another email.
are we all set? We're going to committee reports. The finance.
No, hang on. I just have to read
Oh,
communication
sorry.
A into the record. So we have communication A from the tax collector regarding overpayment refunds for the month of August 2022, which will be filed with tonight's minutes.
Alrighty. Now the finance committee, Councilman Malinowski.
You don't need the time for this one.
I can't even remember, I'm sorry, I haven't
Okay.
eaten, I'm just hungry. Your finance committee is holding communication B and communication J, and
J.
no,
So-
J we denied. I'm so confused, I'm gonna do better right now, I'm sorry, I should have eaten. Communication B is being held, communication J to the Honorable City
No.
Council.
So you denied it to come out of committee, so I don't believe it has to go before the full council.
Oh, I appreciate that very much, communication J has been denied.
There you go.
I think I'm done now.
You are.
Thank you. I appreciate you so much, Stacy. I apologize.
And now we're in public land.
Communication G, the committee has decided communication G from August 22nd, 2022 will be held.
Alrighty. And the committees, adoption of ordinances and previous presented,
No, we don't have any.
none. Council liaison reports, any?
Mhm.
I just got one quick thing. I went to the ARPA meeting last week, and if you want, I got a packet like this. It's like a book of all the things that they've done in detail. If you want it, I will give it to you. I'll be more than glad to give it, but what he went through tonight, they went through each one of them that night too.
So we will need that for our record, for the council record, I believe, for the ARPA, if there's,
It's not finished, but I'll give it to you.
yeah. Okay.
That's all I got.
Thank you.
Any new business? Executive session. Where did Lee go?
So we're going in at 9:24.
And at this executive session, I would like to have Stacy stay, and that way there we don't have the problem we had last time we were in executive session.
I second that motion.
All in favor?
I rented to students.
Yeah, but you're entitled to park on this one.
Opposed?
She
No,
is.
just
Any
like
opposed?
anywhere.
And if she is,
Any discussion? Motion passes.
that's her personal sign. If there's another car that has taken
So we're
We're back in session at
9:59.
9:59.
motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Good night.